Hey guys, it's Ryan Layden at Warmwood Community Church. I want to talk to you a little bit more about the message that we started on Sunday. On Sunday in our message, we talked about an encounter between Jesus, a man that was born blind, and his disciples and some of the opponents of Jesus. Now, it's an amazing story. I hope that you have heard it. I hope you go back and watch the lesson, the message from our time together on Sunday, where we talked a lot about God's perspective on suffering and prosperity and that sort of thing. So go back and watch that. But the rest of the story with this man from John 9, and it was something that those of us that are doing this in our small groups, in our life groups, we went through this together with the questions. And as I did that on Monday night with my group, we talked about how the man's testimony cuts through any doubt, any fear and concerns that people have about whether or not Jesus is who he is. The man simply says, I don't know how to tell you that Jesus did what he did, but all I know is I was blind. Now I can see thanks to Jesus. And so he expresses that simple faith. Jesus meets him later on and explains to him that he is the Messiah, that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of Man, and the man believes and worships Jesus. Such a great story, such a great encounter. Now I want to fill in some of the gaps in that story that we talked about in our group on Monday night. And it really relates to some of the backgrounds. We had two questions. Okay, first question was, why did he make mud and put it on the guy's eye? What's up with that? That seems really strange. And the second question is, why did he send him to this pool at Siloam? What was going on with that? Why do this? And to understand those two questions, you need to understand something about the pool of Siloam in the time of Jesus. So here's a picture of the pool of Siloam from the last time our church was able to go visit, and we did a thing. It was under construction, still is under construction. It's a slow process to remove hundreds, if not thousands of old houses and stuff that have been built in this area and scrape it all away, get back to what was there originally. And that process is happening. And as they do that, they're discovering that the pool at Siloam was not just some little pond. It was an absolutely gorgeous, colonnaded porticos, a porch surrounding a beautiful pool at the end of a very long district. Here's the map, all right? So up here at the top, you have essentially the Temple Mount structure and everything that's happening around the temple. That's where Jesus met this man and was doing his teaching and put the mud on his eyes. And he sends him all the way down to the bottom of the walled city of Jerusalem to the pool at Siloam. And it's a long way away, so he would have had to have had help. And usually who's going to help the beggar? Well, other beggars, other people around him, people that he spends all of his time with. So just get it in your mind, first of all, that Jesus is up at this temple area and he sends the man down to the pool of Siloam to wash his face. Another thing to remember, what day of the week it was. It was the Sabbath. Okay, this is the Jewish day of rest, and this is, the idea of healing someone was controversial. You heard about that in the discussions. But even in this idea of walking down to the pool, and even in the idea of washing your face, these were all things that were very controversial. And Jesus is doing something intentional. He's exposing, right? He's exposing the religious tendencies of mankind and how we ignore the things that God is doing because it may or may not fit into our rules, all right? Our understanding of what God should be doing in our lives. All right, so Jesus, first question, why did he use the mud on the man's eyes? Okay, so number one, he does this interesting thing. He spits on the ground into the dirt. Well, there's rules about actually making a plaster, right, which is something you might use on a wall, fill a crack, and that's considered work. You're not allowed to do it. So Jesus does something really interesting. He spits in the mud, which is allowed, and he just simply takes some of that and puts it on the outside of the man's eyes. Don't imagine that he packed in, pounding this muddy, it's probably not like that. It was probably just a simple action, and to where it makes his eyes dirty. He's got dirt in his eyes. You might think that's really weird, and it is. So he sends the man down to the pool at Siloam, again, with the idea that he's going there to wash his face, which is an act of work, except if you get something in your eyes. Right? So it's not actually a violation of the Sabbath law. He has to go and wash his face because he's got something in his eyes. And so he goes into this place, which is not really a welcome because this is for the rich and wealthy. And here he and all of his beggar friends are, and they come crashing into this place where all of the Pharisees and teachers of the laws were hanging out together on the Sabbath, enjoying this beautiful place, excluded from all of those that weren't worthy. Okay, so see the scene. Beautiful pool, all the religious people hanging out together. Over here come all these beggars and less than, right? People that were considered less than because of their view of suffering and prosperity, which we discussed on Sunday. So this crowd comes busting in, the guy washes his face, and he's healed. Now, Jesus isn't there. All right, Jesus sends him in like a guided missile into the middle of this religious thing, and this bomb goes off, and they have this big discussion, and you can read all about that. Okay, so when we're asking the second question, we got the why the mud. The mud was put on the man's eyes so that he would have a reason, a cause to go to the pool at Siloam to wash his face. The man did it because why not? What does he have to lose? He's heard about Jesus, and Jesus is telling him to go do this. His friends say, come on, let's go. Plus, it's a nice place to visit. So they go down, have a little bit of a wash, he's healed, and then that's the reason for the pool at Siloam. Why did he send him there to do this? And it's because that was where all these religious people were all hanging out, separate from the people that God had called them to serve. And those people come crashing into their lives, and they have this huge explosion. And it shows the fact that the religious folks, okay, they weren't interested in the miracle. They weren't interested in the signs and wonders. They weren't interested in the man himself. They didn't really even care that this man who was born blind could now see. I mean, if that happened to you or me or a friend around us, we would celebrate. We would have a party. We would jump up and down and be thrilled for them. These people were all uptight about the way it happened. Did it fit inside their rules of how should God work in my life? Well, Jesus intentionally, purposefully sought to snap that, break that, crush that, get rid of that whole notion, and to show them that if they truly loved God and if they truly loved others as themselves, they wouldn't put this man down. They would celebrate with him. But instead, they end up screaming at him, yelling at him, calling him names, and throwing him out, he and his family. Why? Because they told the truth, that Jesus is the Messiah. Okay, so there's so much more happening in this scene than just a simple healing, not as if that were simple, or a simple explanation about what God says about prosperity and suffering, as if that's simple. Right? There's so much more to this. There's the man's story, there's his testimony, there's the anger of the religious crowd, and at the end of the day, what stands out the most is when Jesus stands before that man and says, do you believe in the Son of Man? And the man looks back at Jesus and says, sir, if you tell me who he is, I'll believe in him. Right? Jesus had earned the man's trust. He had proven that he was trustworthy, that he was faithful. And so the man put his faith and his trust in Jesus. And Jesus said, I am that man. I am the Son of Man. I am the Messiah. And the man worships Jesus. I think it's fantastic. Right? I hope that brings a little joy to your life today, and that you can expand your study of the Bible and pull out your own resources. Look forward to seeing you Sunday, where we're going to be talking about more ways that God brings life change into our lives. So I'll see you then. God bless you.